I can see why you're frustrated on the way here, but once we get here, Jake, it's a pretty special night. You make your WCW debut in Baltimore on August 2nd, 1992 for a taping that won't air until the 8th. It's a moment fans absolutely love to this day, and I've heard a lot of people say it's among the greatest wrestling debuts they've ever seen. I have to agree, man. Let's watch the clip and talk about it.
Wait a minute! What's going on? There's some commotion! Who's that coming through the... That's Jake Roberts! What is Jake Roberts doing here? Jake the Snake Roberts slithering into the ring! Jake Roberts attacking Sting! And now he's got the chair! Jake Roberts doesn't even wrestle in WCW! What's he doing here? Jake the Snake Roberts! Nailing Sting with a chair! Oh, short clothesline! He caught the Stinger! Oh, my God! Roberts with that steel chair! Jake the Snake! The master of the DDT! He dropped him on his face! And handed that steel chair with a DDT! Jake the Snake Roberts coming out of nowhere! He's manhandled the referees! Slapping Sting in the face! The DDT around the chair! The Stinger's got to be out of it right here! Not another one! Not another one! And oh! Another DDT! Right on the chair! Oh, man. My God, I don't even... He's got that glove, that snake handler's glove. And that... What's going on here? Oh, no. Oh, no. Sting is out of it. The referees have been... The locker room is finally empty, but Jake the Snake... Oh... The Steiners and Ron Simmons there. There's Barry Windham. Sting is hurt badly at the hands of Jake the Snake Roberts. He's got some huge reptile there.
Dude, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a debut. And
Fuck, I was hot.
In that leather jacket with like leather pants, those things are not breathing. You have got to be
I got some cheese.
In need of some Manscaped. Are they still a sponsor? They are. So Jake, this is years before Scott Hall came down through the crowd and kicked off that NWO storyline on Nitro, and that's like kind of the one that people always point to. But like some realism here, you know, that this feels like somebody from the WWF invading, and all the locker room clears to kind of chase you off. What did you think of it watching it back all these years later?
It was great. It was great, man.
Just really well done. You know, Bill Watts was fucking up a lot of stuff in this era as far as like the over the top rope rule, and he was removing the pads at ringside and stuff like that. Just kind of like old school 70s wrestling mentality. But this was nice.
Yeah.
Andrew Hermes, a guy who helps on some of the other shows with research, pointed out that you came to the ring this night with what was clearly a python, but you'd soon go back to carrying the cobra. Do you remember why that change was made? I think I know.
I don't know.
I was gonna guess because the cobra's a lot lighter to carry around.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you were like, hey, that's enough of that. Let's go back to the cobra.
Let's go back to fucking cobra, man.
I mean, after coming through the crowd wearing that leather jacket, it's probably sweating your ass off. Yeah, I don't blame you. Let's lighten the load. So coming in the door, I have to imagine that you're pissed and incredibly frustrated this whole time. But you know, when that red light is on, Jake, you're right back to being that ice cold character we all came to know so well in the WWF.
Yeah.
How do you get past the frustrations to deliver such a convincing performance here in WCW?
It's the same old story, man. When the light goes on, everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the frustrations go out the window. You get to do your thing. You know.
Yeah.
And And that's the one thing you look forward to every day is doing your thing. And that's the best time of the day when you're in the ring doing your thing.
I have to believe that during those 4 months off, it's like, were you watching wrestling while you were away?
Oh yeah.
So watching wrestling, it's like you gotta be starting to feel, like, itchy, you're like, "Ah, I can't wait
Oh
to do
yeah. I was
this."
going nuts.
Man, it was cool. What a hell of a moment. Jim Duggan has said before that when he got to the WCW about 2 years after this, there's a little tension in the locker room. He was a wrestling veteran like yourself, and he felt like some of the guys there were threatened by his presence. Walking in the door, did you get that same impression?
Yeah. Big
Re-
time.
Really?
Big time. Yep. They left me alone.
So, like, you walk in the door, it's like, these guys aren't coming up, shaking your hand, wanting
Nope.
to wow.
Nope.
Okay, so it's just, like, stairs across the locker room, and you're keeping to yourself.
Yep. Really sucked.
It sounds like it would suck. So there were a couple guys there that you knew and had relationships with.
Yeah.
Your former ashtray destroying roommate, Nikita Koloff, was there,
Yeah.
and, your buddy DDP was there, of course.
Yeah.
Is that kinda like your friend group when you arrive?
Just DDP.
Okay, so he's the only one you're really hanging around.
Yep.
Is that just at first, or did it last for the entire whatever?
Lasted the entire time. Well, I'd buddy up with Cactus.
Okay. You guys had a lot of on-screen chemistry in this era.
Yeah.
We're gonna wind up doing a Halloween Havoc episode at some point, maybe this year, possibly next year. But yeah, like the build up to it, you and Cactus are working together a lot, and it's like cool chemistry, and it kind
Oh
of
yeah.
almost felt like eventually you guys might have an issue with each other as well.
Oh, we'd have to.
Right. Man,
Yeah.
at this era, he was doing that crazy nesty plunge off of the apron.
Yeah.
He'd been thrown off like that big flat stage onto concrete and did like
Yeah.
essentially a flat back bump from like 4 feet. So I know that you're not taking those bumps if you're
Nope.
working with Cactus. Would you have felt comfortable if he said, "Hey, throw me off this"? Would you have been like, "Yeah, sure"?
You're fucking right, I would. And I'd give him a good boost.
You can launch him a little bit.
Yeah.
My goodness, that dude just put himself through the ringer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sting here for a bit. This would have been the first time that you had ever crossed paths with him, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time he had risen to fame, you're in the WWF and keeping busy making towns and building your career. So I'm wondering, did you even have much of an opportunity to see any of his work at this point?
Nope.
So like you're coming in here, you know that he's the guy, but you are unfamiliar with his work, everything.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him before you went out there? Is your first time kind of meeting
Nope.
him in the ring?
Just met him in the ring.
Are you communicating with him in the ring or just kind of leading him?
Just leading him.
Okay. Well, what are your early impressions here of him as a person and performer?
Oh, he's fine, man. Nice guy.
What about his ring work? What did you think?
He had his shtick down.
He sort of like Hogan. He had his stuff that he did,
Yeah.
right? But did it really well.
He knew how to do it, knew when to do it. He did it really well.
Are you optimistic coming in the door that you and Sting can make a really strong program out of this thing?
Sure I was.
Yeah.
And then it winds up being a one-off.
Yeah.
Makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't. Especially with like it was such a fast build where it's like you come in the door
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, we're gonna watch a promo here in a little bit where it's you're calling for a contract and they're like, okay, you got a contract. Boom, there's a contract. You immediately go into filming these little mini movies that we're gonna eventually watch here. And yeah, it all just happened really fast, and which is not kind of really the tradition for wrestling at that time. This was the era of like 4 to 6 month storylines, was it not?
Yeah, it was, man. This was different. It was on speed.
like, do you think that Bill Watts had, like, because look, for all of his faults, he had booked some really good, compelling stuff while he was in Mid-South, and now here he is, and he just can't seem to get out of his own way with some of this shit. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think? He just, like, lost his touch?
In Mid South, he had other people booking it.
Okay, like Ernie Ladd and them?
Yeah. Ernie and different guys that were helping. I was a helper.
That's right, yes.
I booked with Ernie. So we'd come up with the ideas and Bill would just go with it.
Gotcha. So at this point, he doesn't have Ernie Ladd anymore. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess he's not asking you for advice.
Nope.
So he was on his own.
Yeah.
Well,
Him and Dusty.
It showed, and he ended up, of course, pushing his son Eric Watts. You and I talked about Eric here a little bit, and you said that you had no problem with him, but like,
no.
Were you seeing the frustration backstage when Watts is pushing his own kid?
Sure.